Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ask Mary Anything. Within reason, apologies for the delay, but Mercedes is in an undisclosed location, and we just had to catch up on a couple of things. But here we are. So happy to have you. Weird week. I feel like we're sort of in this twilight zone, partially because we're in the transition and there's not really news happening. Obviously, lots of news happened today, but I mean, in terms of, the election's over, the inauguration hasn't happened yet. And basically, anything Donald's doing is just talking. And, feels like a lot of things that could be getting done aren't getting done, thanks Senate Democrats. And President Biden seems to be dragging his feet on a couple of things. So yeah, it's a weird, it's almost like being in suspended animation a bit, and I don't like it. And also, we see people already starting to treat Donald as if he's already in the Oval Office. And some of that I understand. I understand why Justin Trudeau of Canada went to Mar-a-Lago to try desperately to explain to Donald what tariffs mean. And to Mr. Trudeau, I would say, if nobody's been able to do it yet, I highly doubt you're going to be able to. And then we get kind of these, and then who else? I think that was the major one, but people who are part of the leaders who are part of the Western Alliance preparing. They know who they're going to be dealing with, and they have to. They cannot be in opposition to Donald the way we can be. And I get that. Setting, but I get it. What I do not understand and find just grotesque on every level is that President Macron of France invited Donald and Melania's body double, Elon Musk, to the reopening of Notre Dame. I can't. I don't get it. I was horrified by that. But again, we're looking at these people who know who Donald is and know who he aligns himself with, I guess, jockeying for position and trying to protect themselves preemptively. And I mean, I think it's worth noting that people like Macron and Trudeau and other presidents and prime ministers in Western Europe, certainly, they know who Donald is, and I think they're just playing him ahead of time, which is very easy to do. So I kind of try not to be as horrified and disgusted as I am, because I know there's an agenda. But, I think part of it is to just, it's just a reminder that this is who a plurality of the American people chose, and it just reminds me to be angry all over again. All right, so let me get to your questions, because I know a lot of you probably saw at least parts of the interview with Donald today with Kristen Welker. Apparently, John Fetterman was on The View. And the biggest news, of course, is that Bashar al-Assad, a murderous dictator, man who has committed crimes against his humanity and against the people in his own country, unfettered practically, for over 14 years, fled. His government has been toppled. He lost support of the military, American military. Hope you're watching. And he, of course, though, unfortunately, was given asylum. Where? Moscow, of course. So yes, Vladimir Putin looking out for his fellow thuggish, murderous dictators. These are the people. Tulsi Gabbard, Donald's choice for Director of National Intelligence, considers the good guys. And by the way, so does Donald. So the fall of this is going to be fascinating. So Mama Corolla 1 asks, now that the Assad regime has fallen and Georgia, the country, is fighting back against its leader, do you think Donald will learn anything that authoritarianism will fail? No, because Donald is incapable of learning at all. So no, he's not going to learn anything because he's insulated. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put your question, but there it is. Can't imagine who did that. Donald is insulated from having to learn by the fact that, Putin gave Assad safe haven, and a lot of the people whose relationships most value will continue to support Assad. And also, has Donald ever faced consequences for anything he's done? No, he is not. He would be well within his rights to think that none of that will ever touch him. What I'm hoping, though, is that Americans learn from this. All right. From Elaine. Saw James Clyburn spoke with Biden about, oh, for God's sakes. James Clyburn spoke with Biden about pardoning Donald? How did I miss that? And two, what? Elaine continues, I am vehemently opposed. Thoughts? I don't know that I could be more vehemently opposed. I thought that was an idea being floated by a bunch of centrist cowards. I just don't understand. I don't understand that. What is the rationale? Seriously. He got away with it. Okay. He got away with it. What is the point of pardoning him? I need, you know what, Elaine? It's a great question. I need to know more. I'm so angry right now. Like, what Democrats are going to be the, like, what? They should be figuring out ways to impeach him and get him convicted and get him in prison as soon as possible. Like, as soon as he leaves office, Donald should be in handcuffs. That's what Democrats in Congress should be doing. Like, their whole raison d'etre at this point should be getting majorities back in the House and the Senate in 2 years so that they can impeach him and convict him in the Senate and make sure that he goes right to trial on whatever that day is. January 20th, 2029. It's a very long time from now. I don't know what these people are thinking. I do not know what Democrats are thinking. The only people Biden should be pardoning are people who are serving sentences in prison unjustly. He should be pardoning any so-called, any perceived political enemies of Donald, anybody Donald has threatened, anybody Donald plans to endanger, anybody on Kash Patel's stupid Herbert Hoover Nixon enemies list. What? I mean, what should he pardon Matt Gaetz too? I swear to God, Democrats just have a way of figuring out how to demoralize the people who support them. It is just not just support them, but actually support democracy. So tired of it. All right, gonna get to the bottom of that one. All right, Jack's mom, Pat. Hi, Mary. Really enjoyed your book. Thank you very much. Just finished it on Audible. I have a question. Your Aunt Elizabeth is Donald's last living sibling. Have you had any contact with her since the White House birthday event? No, I have not. And Elizabeth is the middle child. And I think she was 4 years younger than my dad. So she's probably, my dad would have been 85 or 6 this year. So so Elizabeth is 81 or 82. But no, I have nothing to do with her. She actually she lives very, very near Mar-a-Lago and spends lots of time there, so you can imagine that she and I probably wouldn't have lots to say about each other. Okay, from sorry, I'm going to mispronounce it, Amandai? Sorry. My Senator John Fetterman went on The View and said Donald and Hunter are the same. Oh my God! And Biden should pardon. How can we expect them to fight when they're talking? What is going on? What is going on here? I swear it feels like a plot to. I was gonna say something very, very solipsistic. A plot to drive me crazy. Yeah, it's all about me. Hunter, I'm hoping. No, I don't even know what to make of that. I'd have to see the clip, and something tells me I'll be making a video about it tomorrow. You know, Fetterman has been not the most reliable ally of the left, I have to say. If that is indeed what he said, that is disgraceful. He needs to take it back and he needs to apologize. We have to be really clear about this. The pardon of Hunter Biden was not corrupt. The prosecution of Hunter Biden was corrupt. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Democrat, right? I'm saying that because that is what many, many, many legal analysts whom I trust and whom I know to be impartial on the issue have said. He was indicted and convicted because of who he's related to. Republicans, now remember, I don't know if you remember this, but the DOJ were ready to make a deal. They actually did make a deal with Hunter Biden, and Republicans in the House torpedoed it. That's politicizing the Justice Department because the special counsel in charge, thanks Merrick Garland, was a Donald Trump appointee. The pardon, which, okay, yes, for a long time, President Biden was saying he would not pardon Hunter. And then he decided to. Did he lie? Which is what everybody on Fox said and some Democrats said. No, he didn't lie. He changed his mind because he's an adult human being who understood that facts on the ground were changing. Not facts on the ground. Circumstances on the ground were changing. Donald won the election. He said many, many, many times that Hunter Biden should be hounded. And Kash Patel has said that he needs to be in prison. So, like, who are we kidding? Yeah. So compare lying on a gun application form while in the throes of an addiction to. Oh, and there was a tax charge. I know a lot of people are probably thinking, well, you know, the gun thing, I get it. And that's really hypocritical because Republicans think that everybody should have guns at all times, any kind of gun they want, whenever they want, wherever they want, even if they're domestic abusers or convicted felons or murderers or serial killers or terrorists. Everybody should have a gun. Well, except Hunter Biden, right? So we see the Republican hypocrisy. But then there's the tax stuff, right? He didn't pay like $1.2 million in taxes. That's a lot of money. And again, it happened, not making excuses. I'm just giving you the facts. That happened during that same period of time when he was in the midst of a very, very serious addiction. Okay. You still have to pay the consequences for your actions, correct? Of course you do. Guess what? Like anybody else in that situation, he paid the money back with interest plus penalties. Done. It's done. Nope. They kept pursuing it. None of us watching in similar circumstances would have been indicted or convicted because we already paid, right? I mean, yeah. So Donald, on the other hand, steals highly sensitive classified documents from our government and incites an insurrection against our government and essentially plots to steal the 2020 election in Georgia, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the same thing, John Fetterman? Just go away. Like, I seriously just stop talking. I'm very curious to know what the response to people on The View was to that, because that's just makes my blood boil. Because, a lot of people watch The View. All right, from Ask. So is Assad in Moscow? Yes, which tells you that, this was planned, this was thought out ahead of time. And um because a lot of times things like this don't end well. If you think about Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein. But no, Assad had a plan and Putin was in on it, and it's just disgusting. Okay, from Thinks So. DJT criticized Putin. Is DJT on Putin's list of expendables now? I didn't know that he did criticize Putin, but he has in the past, and it's just, it's so transactional with these guys. Like, they don't, I mean, Donald might take stuff personally, but Putin certainly doesn't. Donald is too useful for Putin to care about what Donald may or may not say. Donald is so in the tank for him that, Putin's calculation might be, well, if Donald needs to talk shit about me once in a while just to pretend that there's any daylight between us, then that's fine with me because I'm still holding the other end of the leash that's around his neck. That's what I think. From Triple Dose. Does history hold all the lessons on how to defeat fascism, or is the Donald threat this year so different from past fascism that new strategies and tactics need to be found? I mean, one indication that history does not hold all the lessons on how to defeat fascism is because we just got defeated by fascism again. So I don't know. It's not looking good for us. Either that or, yes, the lessons are there, but for reasons that I need to think long and hard about, we refuse to learn them and implement them. And that's not going to work. But I think the thing that we need to be aware of, which is why I was so alarmist about this election. I mean, I was alarmist about this election because there's a good chance our democracy is not going to survive this. I mean, a plurality of Americans voted for a fascist party to be in charge. That's insane. That's insane. But above and beyond that, or rather, I should say, that's in the context of the fact that our ability to turn things around is delimited by the very real threat of catastrophic climate change. We don't have 7 decades. We don't have a lot of time. Because now that the worst people possible are in charge, climate change is going to accelerate and, the dominoes might start falling. So we have 2 years, we have 4 years, I don't know, but we don't have 20. So, yeah, if the lessons are there, we don't have a lot of time to kind of learn them and implement them, which is just, that whole, it just puts the phrase never again in a kind of horrifying new context. Well, apparently some people needed to happen again, and maybe we'll learn this time. It's kind of amazing. Grumpy Cat. Is this supposed to be Donald's feeble attempt to end the Russian-Ukraine war in one day? I'm not sure what this refers to. Apologies. maybe what happened in Syria? I don't know. Sorry. I'm not sure what you mean, but hopefully you'll put it in the chat and I'll try to give you a better answer. From Julie, do you know Michael Cohen? What do you think of him being a Trump Donald critic for the past 5 years? I don't know Michael Cohen. I have no interest in knowing Michael Cohen. All I'll say is that if Michael Cohen hadn't gotten caught and if Donald had asked him to be in the White House back in 2016, Michael Cohen would have been in the White House in 2016. So, I don't know. From Jamie, does Donald actually celebrate Christmas? Donald doesn't. All right, look what his Thanksgiving was. Like in a dining room at a golf club, eating probably quite terrible food with a lot of strangers who just like randomly applauded him and while listening to bad music. He doesn't celebrate anything, and he doesn't believe in anything except his own exceptional greatness. So, I mean, I guess the only thing we can say that should give us the tiniest bit of, I don't know if comfort's the right word, but Donald is absolutely incapable of happiness. So there you go. From Lissa, on behalf of the millions who love you. Oh wow, okay, thank you. That's like overstating it, but thank you. Let me say I'm sorry for your not one but three, count them, 3 broken toes, and ask how the hell did that happen? If you want to go, okay. Well, first of all, that is misinformation. It's 2 toes, not 3. See how things just get out of control. No, seriously, 2 is bad enough. I've had much worse injuries, so I got off light. The only reason it was a problem, I mean, it's a pain in the neck having to hobble around for a week or so, but it was a problem because I was supposed to go away 2 days after I broke my toes, and I had to cancel my trip, which was very upsetting. Very upsetting. And I'm trying to figure out a story that makes it sound better than it was, but it was literally because I was I was going away, so I had a lot of work to do, and I was trying to get my apartment cleaned up and do laundry and start packing, and I had moved something out of the way. So this it's a old piece of exercise equipment, so it was where it wasn't supposed to be, and of course it's made out of like metal, and I forgot it was there, and I spun around and I walked right into it. And as soon as I did, I'm sure those of you who've been on the planet long enough, you know when you've done something that's not good. You could just, it's the sound, the immediate bruising, the pain. So again, I mean, it sucks breaking your toes, but I've had many much more severe, not many, but I've had injuries that were infinitely more severe and debilitating. So I can't, the only reason it was, I really wanted to go away. So, oh well, soon, hopefully. But thank you, Lisa. That was very kind of you. Nan, should Biden preemptively pardon those on Donald's hit list? Yes, yes. Absolutely. I cannot say enough that he needs to do that. I don't understand. Like, President Biden needs to have no fucks left to give. I don't get, just throw everything out the window. That's what the Republicans have. I don't mean break the law. I don't mean, cause anarchy. I don't mean rip up the Constitution. I mean play every card you have. Push the boundaries and just understand what we're dealing with. Please. And I'm sure there will be questions about the stuff that was Donald said in that Kristen Welker interview. Okay, from Apocryphy. More an ask for musing about what knives are out at Donald's back, and is he aware, prepared for the bag of rats he's surrounded himself with? Can he cognitively understand the water he's in? No, he doesn't understand any of that because, again, when have things not worked out for him? And also, I think what people need to take into account, and this is more true now than it was in 2016, he has no interest in governing. He doesn't know how to govern, right? It's boring. It's work. He's going to be sidelined by the people he's putting in place, and he's not even going to know it. He'll be too busy raiding the treasury and seeking revenge upon people. And yes, every once in a while, he'll host a head of state, but it's all going to go on without his knowledge. And interestingly, nobody in his I mean, I am not at all suggesting that this would have made anything better, but he might have been more in the loop if anybody in his family was, a quote unquote senior advisor. So Jared's not there, Ivanka's not there, none of his kids is going to be there. And if you think Melania is interested in anything but selling her stupid patriotic Christmas ornaments, I don't know what to tell you. So no, he doesn't understand it at all. And even if he did, he doesn't care. He's completely immune. He's shown himself to be. Our broken, corrupt system has shown him time after time after time. He is completely immune. So there you go. By the way, I do not subscribe to any religion, but I understand what Christmas is. Christmas is, I mean, I celebrate Christmas just because I like it, but not as a religious holiday. But people who do are Christian, and they celebrate it as the birth of Jesus Christ, their savior. In that context, what is a patriotic Christmas ornament, first of all, and why does it have to cost $90? That was Melania hawking patriotic Christmas ornaments on Fox and Friends. See what they're doing for our country. Isn't it? It's heartwarming. All right, from Elaine, how does pluralism survive when one side has no interest in compromise and instead uses its razor-thin margin of power to dismantle the very structures that enable democracy to function? It does not. But the razor-thin margin is the thing we need to focus on here. The House is going to be almost entirely paralyzed over the next 2 years. Mike Johnson is he may be a religious zealot and a sycophant, but he's also not good at his job, and he doesn't even know how to do the job. He has right now, the margin in the House is 220 Republicans to 215 Democrats. 3 House Republicans have been chosen by Donald. I think one to be an ambassador to the UN and the other 2, I don't know, for positions in either the executive branch or in the cabinet. That cuts the majority from down to 217 to 215. Only Nancy Pelosi can make that work. And also, that's almost 500 people. Shit happens, people get sick, people quit, people get censured. That margin can change, so we have to hang on to that and sort of be buoyed up by the fact that people like Jamie Raskin and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, well, Jamie Raskin will be leading the Judiciary Committee, or be the minority leader of the Judiciary Committee, replacing Gerald Nadler, with Gerald Nadler's consent and support, which is important. And I think Raskin had been minority leader of the Oversight Committee. So I think Judiciary is the most important one. Oversight is the second most important one. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is trying to become head of the Oversight Committee for Democrats, rather. So, there's a very important shift in leadership that I think we need to pay attention to. And it's also important to note that Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is not rubber stamping his support for incumbents, because that's typically what leaders do. So it's as if he's just saying, you know what, you guys figure it out. I'm not putting my thumb on the scale for anybody, which is very, very good news. So, we've got 2 years and hope that I this I don't know. Hope that Republican senators don't start to at least a few of them start to see the light. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But it's too early to call this thing, you know. There's still a lot that we can do. From Anti 52, which Dem will be a sleeping giant? Well, I'm not sure if you mean will be the next, leader. There are a couple of things I'm looking at. I think that again in the next few years it's going to be a question of what group of Democrats. And I'm looking at Democratic governors. I think Democratic governors are going to be an extraordinarily important bulwark against the potential horrors of this next administration. So in terms of providing sanctuary, in terms of refusing to comply with illegal mandates, in terms of continuing to protect abortion rights and vaccine mandates and our immigrant population. Again, also looking at how leadership changes in the House, if it changes in the Senate. I'm also looking to see what happens with Kamala Harris, because she deserves a chance to run again. She ran an excellent campaign. It was an abbreviated campaign. She was hobbled by a lot of things. Yeah, absolutely. There are things she kind of should have done differently, maybe whatever. I don't know. But she came as close as any incumbent could, given the global trends against incumbents. I mean, it was less than 1.5%, I think, the margin. So, or are people going to do to her what they did to Hillary Clinton? Like, why is it that Hillary Clinton, who won the popular vote by more in 2016 than Donald won it by now, okay, she won the popular vote. She lost because of this hideous thing called the Electoral College. She beat Bernie Sanders in the primary by 4 million votes, and yet he was allowed to run again in 2020, but she was not. Like, what is this? What are we doing? What are we even doing? Right? So I'm also curious to see what's going to happen in terms of the presidential politics. So lots to keep an eye on. From Elaine, pluralism presumes a baseline respect for the rules of democracy and a willingness to engage in good faith. But what happens when the other side has abandoned those principles? Okay, similar question. What happens is that we lose a lot of ground. And this is something I do not understand. I don't understand why the Democrats didn't do everything in their power to what's the word I'm looking for? To codify as much as possible. In other words, we've been running along on good faith and norms and traditions, and Donald spent 4 years taking a chainsaw to all of that and basically said, I don't care about norms and traditions. And also, by the way, I have no shame. So you can't shame me into doing anything because I don't give a shit. I'm going to do whatever I want. Like, seriously, what are you going to do to me? And that's where we are now, because nobody has bothered to, like, why is it not a law that whoever wants to be in the White House as president of the United States has to be able to pass a background check. Why? Why is it not a law or a constitutional amendment or whatever? Or why wasn't an attempt even made to say that whoever wants to be in the White House has to, be evaluated by a nonpartisan team of mental and physical health professionals, or needs to be completely transparent about his or her financial history, and needs to divest of anything that would, remember Jimmy Carter, I don't know if he sold his peanut farm or put it in receivership or whatever. I have no idea, but he basically made it a non-issue. And now we have Donald saying, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to do any business except in foreign countries." Like, okay, that's not how it's supposed to work. So we did nothing to protect ourselves, basically. So the pluralism is only going to survive if we, in the next few years, do everything we can to figure out how we're going to protect it when and if we get back into power. Yeah, kind of wish we'd done a little bit more about the Supreme Court reform as well. Hey, vey. Okay, from again, I'm going to mispronounce this again. Amanda, sorry, I'm just going to say Amanda E. Rokana and Moskowitz are joining the Doge scam. Why they're legitimizing these people? It's disappointing. I don't know. All I can say is, Democrats, get your act together. Seriously, stop it. Stop it. Was that eloquent enough? Yeah, I don't know what else to say. The only hope here is for the Democrats to be the party of opposition, and that means across the board. Why? Because you never make common cause with fascists, ever. Even if you might agree with one or two minor things they're trying to do. You just don't do it. Rosanna, I'm so confused about why people aren't fighting back the way they were before. What's happening? Not sure what you mean, but you know what? Let me put it this way. And I think I said this at the top of the show. We're in this very weird transition period in which, there's some days it feels like a lot happening, some days it feels like nothing's happening. And the truth of the matter is, yes, there's stuff going on in the world that we need to be paying attention to, but what's really happening? I've found this very frustrating. People have been talking about Donald's nominations as if they're appointments, and they're not. They're nominations. So the news is that he nominated this person, but that's it, because they still have to go through the process, the confirmation process, and that's not going to happen until after January 20th. So I think people are just exhausted. I mean, we've all been working really hard for 9 years. It's 9 years. We feel like the woman on the Titanic. It's just like, enough already. And of course, what's much worse is we lost. And we didn't just lose an election. We lost our democracy, and we lost to the worst possible person on the planet. And we have to deal with what that says about the people we live with. People we thought also cared about this country. So we're tired, and I think it's okay not to be, because what are we fighting for right now, right? Obviously we need to make sure that Democrats do as much as they can before they lose the majority in the Senate. We need to make sure that the same was said as President Biden, but there's only so much we can do about that. I think it's okay to take a bit of a break and realize, all right, the marathon's starting over again. Maybe just call it a relay race right now. Hand off the baton, take a break, breathe. Because things are gonna get really terrible. well, I don't know exactly what they're going to be, but things are going to be much, much worse as of January 20th, 2025 than they are right now. So, I think it's okay if people need to marshal their resources and aren't as engaged. And we've seen this, that we've seen this like not just with our channel, but across YouTube. Viewers, is that the word? Yeah, viewership is way down across the board. And I think, yeah, obviously, we want people watching our shows, but and I'm not suggesting anybody not, because we still need to know what's going on. But I also I understand the impulse to withdraw, having felt it myself. And, if it weren't my job, then I would be sorely tempted as well. So I think we just don't take it as a bad sign. Just take it for what it is. People are just, we need to regroup, and we need to, and also what I'll say is that, hearing about this absolute horror that Democrats are suggesting to President Biden that he pardon Donald. Like, I need to know why they think that's a thing that needs to happen. I seriously do. Because wait, one thing, and this is sort of a superficial thing, but do we think Republicans need a boost right now? Or do pro-democracy people need a boost right now? Right? If you want to demoralize us, pardon Donald Trump. If you want everybody checking out and say, you know what, nothing matters, both sides suck, pardon Donald Trump and see how that works out for you. Like, that would be a catastrophic cell phone, even worse than what Merrick Garland did. And what Merrick Garland did, in the grand scheme of things, will go down as being the worst decisions in history. And if our democracy does falter, then Merrick Garland's at the head of that list, and anybody pardoning Donald Trump would be right there with him. So it doesn't help that Democrats are being idiots, or at least some of them, but let's just hope that they're just, throwing ideas around, or that it's, some kind of misinformation. I don't know. Man from the West. Where's Kamala? I do not know. That's yeah, I don't know. I mean, hopefully she's not with JD Vance, because nobody's seen JD Vance either. I have a feeling I could be completely wrong about this. This is a theory. This is actually, it's not even an educated guess, because I do not know. But I mean, I know she probably needs to take a couple of days off, and she deserved to, but I wouldn't be surprised if she was taking a lead role in dealing with pardons. At least that's my hope. Also, remember, like, we were in the middle of like the holiday stuff, and yeah. From Abby, can I get a pardon for stuff I want to do with ketchup, please? You get a pardon, and you get a pardon. Yes, we should all get pardons. I want one. You know what's weird though? It's like we're going to be giving, well, hopefully President Biden is going to be giving tons of pardons to Donald's so-called political enemies. And I think if you accept a pardon, you have to admit to your guilt, but nobody did anything. So I'm not really sure how that works. Hopefully we'll find out. Oh, Rose Blue, thank you so much for that. And anybody, I'm sorry if I'm solo tonight, so if I'm not really able to keep that close an eye on the chat. But to anybody who's donated tonight, thank you so much. It really means so much to us. So Rose, no, Monsieur Musk, you must sit in the back. Only officials sit in the front. I don't know. Oh, was he dissed again? Was Melania's body double dissed again at Notre Dame? Why was he there? We need to have a very, very serious conversation in this country about excessive wealth, because the only reason he's there is because he has a lot of friggin' money. It's disgusting. Yeah, Kantisa. How did Donald get to fly to France as a felon? Good point. I don't know. There are countries to which he is unable to fly because he's a convicted felon. He wasn't sentenced. That doesn't mean those convictions still don't stand. I guess they had to make an exception. It's we live in dark times. We just do. Ay, ay, ay. And why are the media acting like Donald's already in office? Yes, I've been asking myself this. It's not just our media, but world leaders. Again, why was he at Notre Dame? Ugh. I assume President Biden couldn't go, but Jill Biden was there. Again, I'm not sure where Kamala Harris is, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if I were the media is going to do what the media is going to do, right? And I don't think it's going to work out well for them, right? Right, Joe and Mika? I just don't. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's just sort of slow news time of year. That's part of it. And it is going to start gearing up. Remember, we've got the the 4th anniversary of January 6th coming up, inauguration. A lot is going to be going on soon. I guess there's just not really much else going on. So they're just going for the low hanging fruit. But it would be nice if they would focus on something else because I don't know about you guys, but I'm really, really sick of Donald Trump. But that's been true for decades. Caroline, so good to see you here, and thank you so very, very much for that. Okay, so why did I replace my daughter's turtle with a faint grassy okay, because I am redesigning my studio, so don't worry, that turtle is one of my favorite things. So the turtle will be making another appearance. We're trying to set up a couple of different angles here for like if I have guests or for different kinds of shows. So yes, the turtle will be back in her glory. Thank you for asking and for missing the turtle because yes, the turtle's totally awesome. And for those of you who haven't seen it, uh I'll have it with me next time. Yeah, I wish you were still painting and drawing, but that turtle gets lots of love on social media. So Caroline, I'm very happy you like the turtle, and she'll be back. And thank you so much again for that donation. Also, Brad, thank you. €2. Excellent. Were Donald or Fred, I'm assuming you mean my grandfather, anti-Semites? Yes, yes, they were, and Donald still is. Any story? No, just the way they talked about him. I went to, I grew up in Jamaica, Queens, but I went to school in Forest Hills, and my school, I'd say about 75% of the students in my school were Jewish. So like, most of my friends growing up and now are Jewish. So I never understood. Also, I grew up in Jamaica, so the population of Jamaica was predominantly black. So like I just never understood my family's anti-Semitism or racism at all. And it was just I think the best way to put it, it was just sort of casual. And I don't mean it all to let them off the hook for it because it was disgusting and despicable. But you know, it was not uncommon, sadly. So yeah, I don't really have any, obviously they use the N word. My you know what, I don't have a specific story to tell about it, but just trust me on this one. But anyway, thank you, Brant. Much appreciated. From Michelle. Being in and thank you so much, Michelle. Very kind of you. Being in mental health, why can't we get a 96-hour Thanks for all you do. Do you think he'll come after it? I don't know. If he does, I think he would have better ways to spend his time. I'm not worried. Yeah, unfortunately, you have to be. I think Melania might be the only person who could get him a 72 or 96-hour hold. But wouldn't that be? I don't know why she wouldn't. You think she of all people would want to be rid of him? Um, from Aaron. Thank you, Aaron, for your donation. What is my opinion on MSM, or what I refer to as corporate traditional legacy media, kissing up to Donald? Because they don't care about journalism anymore. They only care about their bottom line. And I'm telling you, it is not going to end well for them. It really isn't. And I think we've seen this, the backlash from against, I should say, the Washington Post when Jeff Bezos ordered his editorial board not to print their endorsement of Kamala Harris. They lost over a weekend something like 250,000 subscribers. That's 10% of their subscribership. That is an insanely high number. And in the wake of Joe and Mika's bizarre, cover your ass, kiss ass trip down to Mar-a-Lago, their show has been, and their follow-up to that, I mean, they've just been out of control, and they've been bleeding viewers over there, because it's like they don't seem to realize that progressives, liberals, Democrats, like we like to have people on the side of democracy, right? People on the right, apparently they like to be lied to. They just like it if everybody hates who they hate, I guess. I don't know. We like the facts. We like things told to us straight. We don't like when people pull punches or cheat. We want our pundits and our reporters and our journalists to be neutral as to the fact, but pro democracy, and they're failing us. They keep failing us as if we don't matter, as if we don't watch their shows or pay for their newspapers. It's insulting. It is just insulting. So I think listen, I don't think this should be the main reason, but I do think it's terrible for their bottom line in the grand scheme of things. But it's just terrible for the American people, and it's terrible for democracy. From Elaine. Elaine, awesome. Thank you. That's incredible. Thank you for that donation. Saw that Donald, and you know what I have to say? I'm not one for ad hominem attacks, but this is an observation. Donald's starting to look really old. Isn't it weird that the media just stopped paying attention to the fact that one of the candidates was the oldest candidate ever to run for the presidency after Joe Biden dropped out? So weird. So Donald stated on Meet the Press that Canada and Mexico should become part of the United States. What? Yeah, what? He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything. Would have been nice if people point. I think what was one question she asked him? Something about when he said he's just gonna like end birthright citizenship. That's the 14th. That's section 1 of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. You know why he wants to get rid of the 14th Amendment? Because section 3 of the 14th Amendment says that insurrectionists can't run for re-election. Oops. Too bad we didn't do anything about that one, Merrick Garland. Anyway, yeah, he's just gonna do this with an executive order or something, and she didn't even bother to ask him how are you gonna end birthright citizenship? It's an amendment to the Constitution. See, he never gets asked. I know more than the generals. I know more about everything. Nobody asks us. Nobody asks him to prove it. Just incredible. Thank you again, Elaine. Oops, what just happened? Ricky, brownie, but I don't know what that means, but props. I'm translating. Props to Harry. It's Littman, yeah, for bailing on the LA Times. You're welcome, and thank you so much for your generous donation. Yes, Harry Littman, for those of you who don't know, he's a legal analyst for MSNBC. He has a podcast called Talking Feds, and he was a columnist for the Los Angeles Times. And in the wake of some of the really just bad moves that the owner, Patrick Soon-Shiong of the LA Times, has been putting in place, Littman just, he quit. It's like, I cannot work for this person or this publication anymore. So yeah, good for Harry Littman, and thank you again, Ricky. Lilmar, thank you so much, Lilmar. Oh, this is a good question to end on. What coping skills would you recommend in January? Rest up now, right? Rest up now. It's okay. I mean, watch the shows and still watch our shows, but you don't have to engage all the time. Do other things. Like, you do things that I always talk about things like, art and reading books and stuff, but that's not everybody's jam. Find a hobby, whether it's going to concerts, listen to music. I came up with something. Learn. So I think I said this last week or a couple weeks ago. Learn something new. Like, that is one. It's just really good for you, right? It's really good for your neuroplasticity of your brain, but it keeps you young, and it also engages you in a way that absorbs you. Like, have you ever had this feeling? You read a book, like, you get really into it, and next thing you know, it's like 2 hours have gone by and you had no idea, like, you're that into it. That's what learning something that you really like. So it could be a sport, it could be, like, literally something like juggling or, uh, painting, calligraphy, how to write haikus. I don't know. Something that you find fun and engaging. That's what I would say. Learn something. And I think I'm working on this too. So I'll be sharing this with you before we get to Inauguration Day. I have been thinking about, okay, what now? We need to do things differently. And I'm thinking about that long and hard, because it feels like we've been flat out pedal to the metal for 8 years. And again, we lost. And we are tired and debilitated and wounded and hurting. We have to do it differently. We have to figure out a better way. So I will, again, continue to think deeply about that, and I will keep you posted. But it's a conversation I want us all to keep having here. So just quickly before, first of all, thanks everybody for your awesome questions. Thanks to our amazing moderators and to everybody who contributed. We have Avak Douglas, Julie Obach, Darren Gross, Nanette Stone, Mariana. And if I missed anybody, I apologize. But to all of you, thank you. It is so, so appreciated. Our people who donate our super stickers. And thanks to Mercedes for kicking us off tonight. We will, I think it's Sunday. I don't know. I'm losing track of time lately. It is Sunday. I'll be back tomorrow with a bunch of videos. The nerds and I will be back at 12 noon Eastern on Tuesday live. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind. Have a great